In tonight's Dateline Defense, Al-Qaeda strategy, Iran's nuclear ambitions, and the changing face of warfare. Let's start with Al-Qaeda. Last month, they left behind a crucial document in Mali. It was tucked under a pile of papers and trash and spells out their strategy for northern Africa. The Associated Press found it in a building they occupied for a year. Joining me tonight with the latest on Capitol Insider is Cedric Leighton, a military intelligence officer, retired U.S. Air Force colonel, and president of Cedric Leighton Associates. So, Cedric, tell us more about this document. Is it significant?
Well, Morris, it is very significant because it basically outlines the strategy that Al-Qaeda in the Maghreb has for northern Africa. And what they're trying to do with it is they're trying to divide and conquer. They're trying to divide the other elements that are out there, for example, Ansar al-Din and the Tuareg groups, and to divide them from not only the government of Mali, but also each other. And then once they've divided them, it's a divide and conquer strategy. So what they'll do is they'll take over, and they'll take over not only the mission, but also the people that support those various groups.
France will depart Mali soon. What happens next?
Well, that's the big question. France has, done the usual thing in Western democracies, which is to announce your withdrawal date. From a military strategy standpoint, that's not a very smart move. And if they are going to do it this way, what will happen is not only will there be a vacuum in power, I don't think that there's going to be a situation where the French can actually control the Malian government to the extent that they need to in order to get it back on its feet. And I don't think the Malian government is going to be able to contain the insurgency, although the French have had tremendous initial successes in northern Africa.
It's kind of like whack-a-mole, isn't it? Every time they leave one place, they show up somewhere else.
Absolutely, and they're the perfect whack-a-mole candidates because they know the terrain, they understand exactly how to behave in that terrain, how to live off of that terrain, and they can do all the things that they need to do to survive there.
Moving on to new information about Iran's nuclear ambitions tonight. The Washington Post reports the country tried to buy 100,000 ring-shaped magnets from China. Why, Cedric?
Well, those ring-shaped magnets are basically used in their centrifuges. They're used in what is known as the IR-1 centrifuge. It's an older version of a nuclear centrifuge that the Iranians have been using. They have another model that is newer, but these magnets don't fit in the newer model. They fit in the older one. 50,000 centrifuges are basically what you can do with 100,000 of these magnets. So what that means is that these centrifuges are going to have the capacity to extract uranium gas from the process that they use in the centrifuge to possibly create a nuclear bomb. They have to do two different things. One of them gets you to the point where you have a nuclear fuel-capable system. The other process that goes beyond that gets you into the nuclear weapon category, and that's what everybody's worried about.
Sounds scary. Meanwhile, officials with the International Atomic Energy Agency say Iran has 3,000 new centrifuges ready to be installed that enrich uranium at a much faster rate. What does that mean?
That means that they can achieve an atomic bomb potentially earlier than was originally forecast. Current estimates put the Iranians somewhere at about the 1 year point or 1.5 year point for making a standalone atomic device, nuclear device. And if that's the case, these centrifuges allow for that process to go a lot quicker than we originally planned, and it could be 1 year from now, it could be a lot earlier than that.
So hard to know who to believe. This reminds me of Iraq, where everybody says we've got to go in, something's going to happen. He's got weapons of mass destruction. Go, go, go. We're getting pressure from Israel and a lot of other hawks. Who do you believe on this whole Iranian thing?
Well, it's very difficult, as you mentioned, Morris, but there are a lot of indications out there that the Iranians are developing a very concerted program for their nuclear weapons. Not only are we looking at the way in which they're looking for centrifuges and the magnets, but they also have these massive underground shelters, and you don't need these massive underground shelters and other buildings that are put thousands of, into the ground at hundreds of feet underground. You don't need those for peaceful nuclear purposes. So every circumstantial indicator is there that the Iranians are developing this kind of a process that gets you into the nuclear weapons realm, and then of course violates international non-proliferation treaties.
Right.
But what you're ending up with is, of course, the Iranians saying we need this only for peaceful purposes. purposes. And in this particular case, I think that the Iranians don't have a very good track record in terms of honesty on the international stage.
Exactly. Finally, a big announcement from Defense Secretary Leon Panetta. He says the Pentagon will create a new medal. The Distinguished Warfare Medal will go to troops that fight from computer consoles and video screens. Explain this for us.
Well, this is an outgrowth of reach-back operations. Reach-back operations are the term that is used inside the military to describe the kinds of operations that you do from behind a video console or behind a computer screen or a computer keyboard. What this medal is designed to do is it's designed to recognize individuals who perform those duties from a distributed location, which means somewhere, usually somewhere back in the United States or in Europe, and of course the combat, at least in these wars, has occurred in either the Middle East or in Afghanistan. This medal is designed to actually go between the Silver Star and the Bronze Star, and would actually have a higher precedence than the Bronze Star, and I basically have a mixed feeling about that, because I think that the people that are in combat operations directly certainly have a call on getting a higher category of medal than those who sit behind computer screens. Even though I've done both, I think that it is very important to recognize those that really go into harm's way.
Always good to hear your thoughts, Cedric. Colonel Cedric Leighton, our guest tonight on Capitol Insider. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
You bet, Morris. Thank you so much.